Maybe we should start the meeting. So far on the agenda today, I have the discussion about having meeting recordings on YouTube or other alternatives. Do anybody else have something we need to add to the agenda? Jon, do you have anything new to talk about when it comes to Larod?
Nothing in particular more than what I presented on last hackathon. Maybe I could give a brief update on my thinking of the process to move Larod to GitHub and to start work more actively upstream there. Maybe I can say a few words about that.
Yeah, I add that to agenda.
Yeah.
So we could start with the YouTube discussion, and then we could move to Larod, and we'll see if Freddy joins as well. I got some feedback from Jens when it comes to having a video streaming platform that is available both in China and in the rest of the world. And according to him, it's not possible to find anyone that works. So his suggestion was that we should start a YouTube channel for Unimatrix, and he would be responsible for mirroring that to a Chinese streaming service. Any comments on that? So then I will go ahead and create a Unimatrix YouTube channel and upload this meeting after this is closed, and I have Jens to upload that to Chinese version. I guess you could move to point 2 then. With Jon.
All right. So as far as I understand, there was a decision taken by the technical board that Larod is going to be the official inference and CNN framework for Unimatrix, and I have been thinking about how to move forward. I think that my current plan is that we should move. I'm planning to move Larod to GitHub, but in the meantime, we could possibly do a new drop of the current Larod master that contains support for Google Edge TPU and for Ambarella CV Flow, so that it's accessible by the members within Unimatrix. So that's my high level thinking, and once we are at GitHub, I'm planning that we will work more actively upstream. We haven't done that, as you are probably aware of, up until now on GitLab. So we just do occasional drops to GitLab from our private repository. So we will move over to GitHub, and we will step by step move over to more active upstream way of working. So that's in short my plan for how to proceed forward with the Larod within the context of Unimatrix. Any comments on that? I take that as a no.
Dora just joined. I don't know, Dora, if you have any comments about what Jon was talking about Larod. He was planning to start working more with upstream and moving Larod to GitHub.
I have one question regarding moving it to GitHub or GitLab.
Sorry?
So one at a time. Husan, you could start.
Okay, so I have a question regarding where to put it, on GitLab or GitHub. The previous open source version of Larod was available on GitLab, and now you are talking about making it available on GitHub. So is there any particular reason for switching from GitLab to GitHub?
Yeah, I want to. I don't want Larod to be some kind of sub project Unimatrix, because it's not intended that way. It's not created for the purpose of being a Unimatrix inference framework. And I feel if I would, we placed it there for in order to be able to open it for the Unimatrix members and not for anybody else. Initially for the first Unimatrix hackathon. So that's the only reason why I want to move it to GitHub. I want it to be independent.
Okay.
It's Dora.
Yeah, we are okay with GitHub.
Okay, good. So it should be open for everyone. So it would not mean any. It would not change anything in practice, I would say. It would the only difference would be that it will be more open. It would be open to literally everyone, not only to Unimatrix members.
Perfect. Any other comments about Larod? Any plans for other members that is going to start working with Larod that need to discuss anything with you? This is a good opportunity.
I could maybe I could comment on one last thing, and you I think it's pretty obvious, but I would like to stress the fact that it's if you need to use Larod right away, you could of course. You could of course clone it from GitLab and do your own additions to it. So and maintain a private branch. So that's one way to handle Larod related development for the closest future. But we will proceed with the move to GitHub, and then we take it from there, I think.
And what can we expect for functionality changes in Larod in the near time?
Functionality-wise, I think it's the additions that I mentioned before. It's the backend support for Google Edge TPU and Umbrella CV Flow that we have in our private repository, and that we could I think that we could probably drop to GitLab quite soon. After that, I think the next major addition would be the pre-processing support, the ability to run pre-processing jobs in Larod, and that is pre-processing in terms of color space conversion, and that is like YUV MV12 to RGB format. It's also scaling and cropping. It could be that we add other kinds of pre-processing later on as well. We could add whatever kind of graphical pre-processing operations like rotation, so on. We could add more later on, but that's one thing that's in the pipe for now. So, and there will be a back-end structure for that kind of pre-processing workloads as well, so that one could add support for different platforms, so that there could, for example, be an open GL, open CL backend. That could be a backend for a custom accelerator like the one that Umbrella provides. So that's one thing that will get in for during the coming months, I think, or the coming weeks possibly.
So when is your plan to move to GitHub then?
I don't have a definite date, but I would like to do it as soon as possible. In the beginning of the autumn now, like September, something like that.
And what about the Python support?
We don't have anything. We don't have any concrete plans for now, but we have experimented with Python bindings, and we have experimental Python bindings that works fairly well. So we could possibly, if there is a clear interest and a clear need for having the ability to use Larod directly from Python, we could probably look into adding, finishing up the experimental Python bindings that we have and add it to Larod. It's perfectly possible.
And I guess others could contribute to that as well when you put it on GitHub.
Yes, of course.
Any views on that?
Is there a clear interest for having Python bindings to Larod available? Would anyone use it? Or is C or C++ the major interface?
Panasonic?
As sorry.
You go ahead, Adler.
Okay. In fact, I think it depends on the scope of future cooperation, and especially in current deep learning atmosphere, and lots of players, small players, companies or individual companies coming into this area. And from my point, I think more and more users, they prefer to use Python enabled deep learning framework instead of C++ or other language, because Python has its own advantage to bring in new models, or to test, or to launch something in a very short time, but with very limited resources or expertise they have. So I think it's become much more common currently than before, than the old time. So we need to, if we want to introduce our deep learning framework into a larger industry, so we need to take this kind of a consideration, I think, from my point.
And I think that one thing we need to consider is if we want to have Python bindings to Lara, that clearly makes up a requirement on having a Python interpreter and all the core libraries on board, so to speak. So that would clearly increase the system requirements on primarily flash memory, I think, and it would put up higher requirements on the system. So that's something we need to consider if going that path. Have there been any discussions within Unimatrix about including a Python interpreter as a system requirement?
We had some discussions during the hackathon about different Python implementations with different sizes. So there are work going on and making smaller footprint Python implementations.
Yeah.
So I guess
One thing I think,
not only from us, it's other parts of the industry, IoT industry, that wants to have Python.
Brian here, just one thing that I think bears thinking about is that Python is really only, I think, going to be useful for the model training workflows. Typically, it's data scientists or data-focused image processing developers that are building the models. And as far as I understand it, Unimatrix is really a production framework for running on camera. So it's not clear to me that we actually need Python in the core Unimatrix distribution, as long as Lara supports training the models through Python off camera, and the models are sufficiently portable. So I don't know what the thinking is there, but in my opinion, you really only need Python for the training workflow, not for the inference workflow.
Yeah, I agree to that. Lara is, I would say, more or less training framework agnostic. But I think what we would gain from having Python bindings to Lara would be that it could possibly be a little bit easier for people that are not that experienced from working with traditional embedded systems it would possibly be a little bit easier for them to get up and get an application up and running. That would be that is, I think, what we would gain from it. But the drawback would be that, as we were talking about earlier, and what you are mentioning here as well, that we would bloat the system with the need for having a Python interpreter and the Python environment on board. So I completely agree to what you're saying about there are no real requirement on having Python support, but it could possibly be helpful, I think, for people that are not that experienced in working with embedded systems and C++. So for prototyping things, for example, it could possibly help, I think.
Okay, any more thoughts about Larod and Python? So I guess we need to move to the next point, and that's any other business. Do anybody has something they want to discuss today?
Yes. I have uploaded the Open API specification to the GitLab and the private directory, and I add APIs folder, and here I upload the implementation of gRPC and the RESTful APIs. And I want to present the Open API specification today.
Yes, you could take the screen and
Okay.
make the presentation.
And not presentation, just the.
Yeah, you could show on GitLab, yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Can you see my screen now?
Yes.
Yeah. I use the Swagger editor to show the API specification. Here, there are two APIs. One is the host information, and the other one is the service capability. And the request of the host information, also the request of the service capability is the request info, and it includes the app name and the app ID, and the response of the service host information. Here are serial number, MAC address, firmware version. It's not maybe the host OS version is more but it's better than the firmware version. Here I just want to give the host OS version. And the model, actually, I got the model from only, I don't know what's the actual use of the model. maybe it's a device name and the manufacturer and the response of service capability. So yeah, it includes media cap, hardware cap, and deep learning cap. Media cap, we have video and audio. There are the details item of these two cap, and yes, hope colleagues can review this specification and give some comment.
Yes.
Yeah, that's an update from my side.
So you had both a gRPC and a RESTful implementation.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, I just looked at GitLab under the API. And you had
Yeah,
one. You have
yeah,
both.
you can find it here. I add a fold and the private.
Yeah, I found
yeah.
it. So I saw you're comparing gRPC with RESTful implementation.
Yeah. Yeah, about the comparison results I present during last hackathon, and
Yeah.
it's in my presentation. So yeah. These are the prototype.
Yep.
Prototyping, yeah.
Yeah, so this is the code you were running before you did the presentation last hackathon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there any other comment? Oh, okay. I will stop sharing my screen.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Dora, for contribution. So back to any other business. Anything else? Anyone who would like to take up today?
Yes. Hello.
Yes. Go ahead.
Yes. Yeah. In fact, we as we mentioned a little bit earlier, that we hold already a serious meeting with the HiSilicon on the topic of introducing the basic concept of Unimatrix and scope, target, and to show you if any interest they are willing to join to our Unimatrix. And finally, I think the result is very positive, and they show very interest and great willingness to join. And it's just a simple request to you guys, because you know we have a standard Unimatrix presentation, right? And everything we show it's a little bit on what kind of container structure we are trying to build, and with the target is a little bit like app developers or some cloud players like that. But we don't. In fact, this is a question they have raised to us, to me, is that they can join to this organization, but they are still studying what kind of contribution as a chipset manufacturer, what kind of a contribution they can do inside of this organization.
I guess it's like a Larod backend, for example. Maybe you could discuss that, June.
Yeah, that's clearly something that would be required in order to support high silicon platforms in a reasonable way.
Yeah. So do you think that if once our larger framework or some technical detail it's matured, and maybe we can hold another meeting with them, and I prefer to invite you guys to make a little bit of introduction to them, and is that possible if you
yeah, we could yeah, we could discuss that. We could definitely do that.
I think the main direction that they are very positive to join in, but they just want to know a little bit more detailed on contribution on how to say technical step, like we are doing during our hackathon meetings, and who do what, and with what little bit what kind of work they can put effort on. So it's this is just something. Maybe we can figure out some proposal or technical work that we can request them to do, or what do you think?
Maybe we should have a presentation about Larod and discuss what they could do for backend.
Yeah, we could have such a discussion, and I think that we should at some point we should probably write a guide on how to port Unimatrix to new platforms, so to speak. I'm thinking of what's available for the Android platform, for example. There is a quite comprehensive guide on how to port Android to new SoCs. We should probably we should probably have something similar for Unimatrix. It would probably not need to be that comprehensive, but we need something to describe what kind of hardware specific backends that are required. One is clearly in order to make use of custom CNN accelerators. One is clearly needed for Larod, but there are others needed for in order to be able to load images from the video subsystem, for example. So there are more.
The capture APIs.
Yeah.
Yeah, great. So if it's maybe it's not an official guide they want, but yeah, if we can work out some kind of very simple proposal and request, and that definitely we can share to them, and I'm very glad to hold this kind of connection meeting.
Yeah, we could definitely we could start with something informal regarding Larod. And it's not that complicated to add backends for new platforms.
So what is your availability, June, for such a meeting?
I think like last week of August could work out. I'm currently on vacation, but I think that
when you will get back?
I will be back mid-August, but I think I need a week to get back up to pace before we have such a meeting.
Okay.
So I think for last week of August or first week of September would fit in my schedule fairly well.
Okay.
From
so
August 24th and forward.
Yeah, let's say I will propose them the last week of August, and then we can set up one exact day and time during that week. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's okay. That's okay for me,
great.
at least.
It's okay.
Perfect. So that's all about Loud. Anything else needed to discuss today?
Willie, just wondering if there's an update on the Linux Foundation stuff. Specifically, we attended the automotive grade Linux all-member meeting about 2 weeks ago, and they had some great video resources that Unimatrix may be able to solve this this video problem through Linux Foundation if things are moving ahead there as planned.
You mean a corporation and looking into what automotive is doing?
Well, specifically around the problem of sharing the videos to China. The Linux Foundation's automotive grade Linux all-member meeting was conducted all virtual, and they had basically sort of a video sharing site that was very well organized, specifically for automotive grade Linux, and it appeared to have been put there by the Linux Foundation. And I don't know if the Linux Foundation just kind of gives this service away to all of its projects, but if things are in progress with the Linux Foundation as planned, they may be able to provide some video sharing resources so that we don't have to roll our own.
That sounds great. Perry is on vacation, so I don't know what is happening with Linux Foundations. He's responsible for that activity. But I will check with Per, and I will bring it up. So that would be really good if I have a solution.
Yep, they may do.
Okay, thank you for that. Anything else? In that case, the last thing is the next telco. Should we have telco same time in 2 weeks? 2 weeks, 12th of August. Is that okay with everyone?
Yeah, it's okay for us, I think.
From Panasonic, the Japanese members will be on vacation. Instead, Vietnam members will attend on the meeting.
Yeah, we can attend. Sure.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, so we could still have it for 12. Perfect. Yeah, I guess during the vacation time we will have some people joining and some won't join. So we'll have some lower activity during the summertime. Hopefully we'll pick up more speed after the vacation period. But I'll send out an invitation for 12th of August. And thank you everyone for joining. And until next time, have a...
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.